You're probably building bad commander decks, but I'm here to help. So let's talk about why you should probably still be using a deck building template, and how you can still have a ton of cool stuff in your deck if you do. In a recent video, I shared this as a good guideline for the average deck and was accused of rage bait. My regular viewers will know that's not what we do here, and while there certainly are exceptions like my Skullbride deck, or an Elf deck, or a CEDH build, if we look at the most popular commanders on EDH Rec, most of these commanders and decks will reliably want to get to 5 lands by turn 5, and they most likely want mana acceleration on turns 1 or 2. The vast majority of our decks are better off aligning with a template like this and then making minor deviations from there. Going down to 36 lands to squeeze in some extra gas is far better than squeezing down to 32 lands, especially if heavens forbid you're packing 4 mana rocks. Every time I get greedy and break my own rules, I end up regretting it and have to fix my decks later. If you're still with me, you're now staring down a graphic and thinking, man, that's like 70 cards in my deck. Does that mean I only have 30 cards left for gas? That's not even enough for all my creatures, and aren't all my decks going to look the same? Well, not at all. Trust the process, and here is why. Cards in these categories should be different in each deck. Don't get me wrong, there will of course be crossover, as any Dimir deck that wants to ramp only has access to like the same 10 mana rocks, but removal in my Sauron deck looks very different to removal in my Merrin deck, which looks very different to removal in my Aragorn Spellslinger deck, and this is true for other card categories like ramp. If you combine this with cards that do double duty and straddle multiple categories at once, you suddenly create so much room for activities within your deck. Again, using my Merrin deck as an example, a lot of my ramp or removal is strapped to creatures, meaning it's really easy to get those 10 plus numbers, and because that synergizes with my commander, it allows me to recycle that removal and ramp, making it even more powerful than if I'd simply run the best 11 ramp or removal spells in black and green. We haven't even talked about card advantage yet, so let's see how I handle that in my Merrin deck as a further example. In the same way that my ramp or removal ties to creatures, so does my card advantage. Because I use my graveyard as a resource and recur creatures, cards like Circle of Landred, Satyr Wayfinder, and Stitcher Supplier that put cards in my graveyard inherently act like card advantage, even more so for a card like Ripples of Undeath. Given I easily recur creatures, cards like White of the Reliquary, Braids, Fiend Artisans, DC, Birthing Pod, and Yawgmoth that sacrifice creatures all generate me card advantage. Add to this cards like Gingy, Protean Hulk, Razaketh, and Skullclamp, and I have a card advantage engine that even a blue deck would be excited about. As a final example, I'm going to compare that to my card advantage engine in my other Golgari deck, my Skullbride deck. There, I use cards that synergize with what my deck is doing, and it has no crossover at all with my fellow Golgari deck in Merrin. But now that you know, you won't get caught in that trap, right?